History is very important to those of us who love motorcycle racing. History gives us a way to compare things. With the help of history, we can answer questions like, which were the really great races, the classics that people will talk about for years and years to come? And it is history that records the names of the truly great riders.
Champagne shower time for the boys here. And I'll tell you what, they earned that gold break this afternoon.
Let's spend the next hour with a great rider enjoying a great race.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain, and this is Bubba Schobert, the winner of the 50th anniversary Springfield Mile Part 2. Behind us, a pretty good horse, the #1 factory Honda, has been put to rest after, Bubba, what must be one of the most exciting and I would think one of the most satisfying victories of your career.
Yeah, Dave, it was toughest one I think I've ever ran, and I didn't know how it was going to come out until it was over, and it's a real special race, and being the 50th anniversary, it really makes it special. I've only won here maybe 2 times, and it's a really tough race to win.
How'd you like to take another look at the highlights of this exciting afternoon and tell us about some of the high points and the low points for you?
That'd be easier than what was going on when I was out there doing it.
Let's take a look at the 50th anniversary Springfield Mile with our co-host, Bubba Schobert.
This has been the scene of a lot of motorcycle racing history over the years. The Illinois State Fairgrounds in Springfield. A place you like to come, Bubba, or not?
Oh, yeah, Dave. It's a great place to come race. It's one of the fastest tracks we race on. The fans are great. There's a bunch of them that come watch this race, and I think it's one of the best.
The folks who come here definitely know they're going to get their money's worth. And it's been 50 years since they first did this at Springfield.
Hey, I came to see the excitement. You know, there's nothing in the world between a group of guys handlebar to handlebar at 130 miles an hour drafting one another and getting in that turn sideways.
And we're going to get a sample of the action real early. The biggest 4 names in mile dirt track racing are all assembled together in the first heat race. The folks are going to get their money's worth right off the bat. Thunder over the racetrack, Rolling Thunder about to move out onto the racetrack. Look at this lineup in the first heat. Those are national wins over in the right-hand side. Parker, Graham, Schobert, and Springsteen. Bubba, that's what I'd call a stacked heat.
You don't like to see that, especially starting off in the heat race, knowing that you're going to have it that tough already at the beginning of the day.
This is a 10-lap race to qualify 3 guys for the national championship final here at Springfield. Parker grabs the lead going into turn 1. He's number 11. Then Graham, number 3. And watch Bubba Schobert. What are you doing out there in the loose stuff, Schobert?
Well, they watered the track right before the heat race, and I thought usually from the past history at Springfield, that's usually the fast way around.
So much for history. Schobert goes from 3rd to 5th in a matter of 2 corners there. As they come down to the green flag, it is Graham with the lead. Bubba is number 1, of course. Again, this is a qualifying heat. To get into this, you recorded a time in time trials, and the way the time trials broke, the 4 top guns in mile racing are all together here in this first 10-lapper. Here's Schobert up from the back, 5th to 1st in the length of a straightaway, and here you get another look at it. Bubba, you obviously had a good motorcycle that day.
Oh, yeah, and when you get 3 or 4 guys going beside each other, you get one heck of a draft, too.
Once you pulled around him, it was Bubba Schobert's heat race to go on and win. A couple of surprises here. Number 19, Billy Herndon, and number 48, Don Howard, who was actually riding his first race in almost a year. They got up here and mixed it up with you guys pretty good, especially Howard, who held on all the way to the end. But Graham would tell us before the day is out that you had a lot more motorcycle than he did, a lot more power. You buy that or not?
Well, this particular day, yes, I believe I did. The bike was running really good in the heat race and all, but as we'll probably watch and see later on, I have a few problems, and I just got to get them worked out before all the money's on the line.
Oh, we're going to see a lot more of that, Schobert. We're going to see you flailing around in the back like the normal people here before this day is over. But in the heat race, this was the story. Number 1, Schobert. Number 3, Graham. Here comes Parker, number 11, catching up. And Donnie Howard, number 48, right there in the thick of it, trying to upset the big guys. Springsteen back in the back here. He'll have to ride the semifinal. So as this one unwound, it was really kind of a preview of the main event. Did you look at this heat race and figure, hey, this is going to be a lot like the final because all the good guys are in it?
I knew it was a good chance to test my machinery and check all the combinations and find out exactly what I could do up against those guys.
Question is, how hard do you race against them? It's only the heat. You've only got to get one of the top 3 spots. When Graham passes you here, are you thinking, boy, I got to get right back by him, or what are you thinking?
Well, I'm always out to win the heat races because the starting position is a big part of the main event, and that's exactly what you got to do is to win the heat race to get where you want to start in the main.
You were both pulling away from Parker here. He was really having to scramble to keep up with you. White flag, 1 lap to go. He's really not in a position to win the race from there, is he?
Not really. I noticed, you know, earlier in the race he was trying a lot of different lines, and I don't think he really knows exactly where he wants to run at this point.
Of course, this is early in the day. There's still a lot of action to come. Final lap, Howard can't maintain the draft. Schobert leads it into 1. Is Ricky trying to get around you here or just set you up for a draft pass?
I think he was just trying to set me up for the pass coming down to the line.
If that's what Ricky had in mind, it didn't work. Schobert won the race over Graham and Parker, and here's what Bubba had to say about it.
It was a close race, a good race. I knew I was losing a lot of time in the middle of turns 1 and 2, so I'm glad I had to race with somebody so I could figure out my problems in the heat race. So I'll have them fixed for the main event.
Bubba, if that means you're going to get even better, the rest of these guys are in trouble. It's Schobert, Graham, and Parker out of the heat race and into the main, and Ricky sounds like he sees the writing on the wall.
It's hard to beat horsepower. You know, you can only go so fast to the corners, and I can't draft him. You know, he just got too much horsepower.
As we get ready for the second heat race, this guy's playing a waiting game. Tommy Colson is the first alternate today. That means he qualified 49th. For him to get to race, somebody else has to have trouble. Here's one of several rookies in the field today. No rookie has made a main event yet this year, and we talked to a couple of them about that situation.
Springfield's a real fast track. It takes a lot of guts to put around this track because it's real fast. Personally, I like Springfield.
There's at least 20 good guys that could be in the main event who have already been rookies, and for us rookies now, it's even tougher than it was for, say, Chris Carr. I think maybe not so, but I know at least you can name 20 good guys who will be in the main event if their bike don't break down.
I think the secret is having some good horsepower, good chassis that works for you around the turns, and a lot of guts to put it around there. You just got to go for it.
Well, Bubba, here's a guy who's been going for it longer than anybody else out there. 33-year-old Hank Scott will saddle up number 14 and ride his very last Springfield mile here today. On the outside of row 2 here, you see number 20Y. That's McDowell that we just heard from. One of the rookies trying to get into the show as we go to heat race number 2. Who's going to get the whole shot here?
Well, it's no doubt in my mind, Scott Pearson. He gets the whole shot from anywhere.
Why is he so good off the line? Number 95 jumps out front here just like always. What's his secret?
I don't know. He just if you're on the line next to him, it's a big disadvantage because he's all hyped up and he's just, I don't know, he just can't relax, and I don't know. I think he's a big guy and he can shift his weight a little bit more than a guy my size.
Well, it didn't do him a lot of good here against Hank because within a lap, number 14 Hank Scott, who's won 12-mile nationals in his career, had moved out to the front, and he pretty much left this to be a battle for second spot. We'll see number 20Y. There's McDowell, the rookie, up there racing with Doug Chandler, who's one of those guys that I guess has been close to greatness as much as anybody. For as much as he runs up front, Doug doesn't win a lot of races, does he, Bubba?
No, he's had a lot of tough breaks. I know he's got the capability, and he's got some good sponsorship behind him. I think he's got a good team. He's just had a few bad breaks.
I think his day will come. Doug Chandler running second here, and it is in fact a race for second. The other guy in this is number 31 Danny Ingram from Indiana, and we're going to see quite a bit of Danny before the afternoon is out. But the story of heat race number 2 was Hank Scott. When you're 33 years old, are you going to still be out there going as fast as Hank?
Well, if I'm still doing it, I hope I'm doing it as good as Hank can still do it, and I think it's really great that Hank's going to go out knowing that he still has the capability of winning.
Scott, Chandler, and Pearson come out of heat race number 2. Here's Mert Lawwill. A lot of people say Mert knows every trick there is to building Harleys. He's got a whole barrel full of tricks right there in his truck. That's the reason that Mert's so good. And who comes snooping around here trying to steal some of those tricks and maybe even get a plum away from Mert's wife? Well, you recognize that guy. That's Schobert. He rides a Honda now, but he's always willing to steal somebody else's secrets. Right now, what we're finding out is that Mert has a little bit of a problem.
Like it was internal or where?
Well, it had a noise that I haven't heard before, so I'm just looking to see if it's a false alarm or if it means something. We still have the backup bike, and we're qualified. There's no problem. We're in the challenge race, so we're looking fine either way.
We'll find out more about Mert's problem in a moment. Here is Colson, and he's going to get to race. He's going into heat number 3 because Steve Moorhead had to scratch.
Just a black cloud, like you say. I've always had problems here at the Springfield, Illinois mile. It is the fastest racetrack we run on all year long, so it will have tendency to be harder on equipment. But I don't know, it's a brand spanking new Honda motor we come here with today, and just dropped a valve, I believe it is. So this is 3 times now I've been in the Camel Challenge and broke and haven't been able to participate in it. You know, and that's a big event, paying $10,000 to win. And you know, we've been there, we've been close, and we just can't seem to make it all day long.
As number 69 Colson pulls up into the back row as the alternate for Moorhead. The guy to watch is on the second starting spot from the outside on row 1. That is Chris Carr, and you see him creep across the line right there. Carr was one of the 6 fastest qualifiers here today, but in this case, he is going to have to start from the back because he jumped the start and went to the penalty line. How big of a disadvantage is that, Bubba?
In the heat race, it's not too big a disadvantage. You sure don't want to do it in the main event.
Here is how big a disadvantage it is not in this case. Watch Chris Carr, and we're going to stay on this camera shot. It's not the best shot in the world, but it will let you see what number 20 did on the first lap of this race. He goes up there on that Bubba Schobert line, but he got it to hook up, and right here, you're going to see him go jetting down that backstretch. The Mert Lawwill Harley, the backup Harley, because the primary bike was broken, going down the backstretch like a rocket ship. He passed about 3/4 of the field right there, went up to the top in 3 and 4. Now we'll change the shot, and you'll be able to see him swing back across the middle of the racetrack, come to the inside, duck around Rich King, and pass the entire field in 1.25 laps. Were you surprised that he did that?
Not really. Springfield's that kind of track. You can go from 5th to 1st in 1 lap.
Nothing to it. He went from 12th to 1st in 1 lap, and eventually will pull away here, although number 80 King stayed with him, and number 8 also. That is Steve Eklund, another guy who's been doing this a long time. He was national champion back in 1979, but Eklund demonstrates he can mix it up. One of the new good kids is 64. That is Donnie Eastep out of Ohio, and Pete Hames 32 comes up the inside, and this one is really a pretty interesting battle, although it looks to me like Carr has him handled. And as you found out later in the day, that backup bike of Mertz was pretty good. If they'd had the primary bike, you guys might have been in trouble, huh?
Yeah, they've had their stuff together all year and really had some fast equipment.
Of course, their problem has been making that equipment finish. Look at this dogfight. This one really ended up being a traffic jam for a while before Carr started to pull away. In a race like that, how much are you trying? How much do you want to get away and run away from the field in the heat race, and how much are you just content to kind of run your own event?
Well, I think it's good to race with somebody in the heat race and try a few different things, because if you get out there all by yourself, you get bored and you don't try different lines. You're just riding around, actually.
These guys aren't bored at all because they've got a 4-rider battle for 2 transfer spots. Up in front of them, Chris Carr wins the race with ease. It's Hames and Eastep who take the transfers, sending King and Eklund to the semis. And here's what Carr had to say about that first lap.
I just wanted to get off the line, get a good clean start, and hope not to run into anybody coming off the second row. And I just wanted to pass as many guys as I could in the first lap, and I got them all. So everything worked out well, and we went on and had a good heat race.
And we'll go on now to heat race number 4. Same routine. It's 10 laps. Top 3 move to the main event. And as they roar off into turn number 1, this was an interesting race because it started out a big mob scene and then it narrowed down at the end to just a 2-man battle. Keep an eye on the guy in white. Number 92 is Rodney Ferris, and he will make some fairly breathtaking moves during the course of this race. Ferris kind of has a reputation, Bubba, as a guy who is scary to watch, but you say that he's not as scary to race with as he is maybe to watch in the video. How come?
He's just got a unique style. He hangs off the bike more. He leans the bike really far over in the turns, and sometimes you see a guy do that, you have a tendency to back off a little bit.
Well, he's all over the racetrack, as you can see there, and that in that case kind of balked Alex Jorgensen for a moment and Ronnie Jones, number 16. But I mean, I'm like you. I don't see Ferris knocking people off out there. It's just that he's got that wild style. Great move there to the inside. 53 is Tim Mertens, who came through a bunch of traffic to lead this one early. But this one really did develop into a two-man battle. The guy who emerged from the traffic to take the lead was number 18, Terry Poovey. Took him a few laps to get there. Here you see him 4 wide going into turn 1. This was really a Springfield track where you could race anywhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was the day of the best racing I'd ever seen, or the best racing I'd ever been in.
Here's about the point where Poovey took the lead and began to stretch this one out into what looked like it was going to be a runaway. I should take a moment and mention that Poovey is one of 6 guys in the Camel Challenge. You heard Steve Moorhead make reference to it. The fastest 6 qualifiers today go into a special race, $10,000 to win. Alex Jorgensen, number 44, was qualified for that race, but has blown up his motorcycle. Unless they can get it fixed, he'll join Moorhead on the sidelines for that big buck cash dash that's coming up. Poovey way out front, fans thinking, this one's going to be a walkover from Bubba's old Texas running mate down there. But it didn't turn out that way because Ronnie Jones came romping and stomping right back. What happened to Poovey here? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. It's just maybe he got out in the lead, started thinking about other things, and it's a lot easier to be the cat in this situation and catch the mouse.
Really? It's easier to come from behind than it is to lead? How come?
Because you see a guy shut off, you're running in a little bit further than him. If you're in the lead, you're thinking you're doing everything right because you're leading, so you tend not to change too many things.
As it turned out, Poovey was not doing everything right. He was running fast enough to blister the tire, and that's what let Jones get out in front of him. Bubba, is that a strategy mistake? Could he have backed off a little bit?
Well, not really. You know, if he going all out for 10 laps, you shouldn't blister a tire, so he's got something wrong with the setup of the bike, and he'll have to make some changes.
Alex Jorgensen won't get a chance to make changes. He's blown the motor and is done for the day. The finish was close. Ronnie Jones wasn't even sure who'd won the race.
I think I got it. I don't know. Did they announce it yet? I think I had him coming out of the 4th turn, and he got the draft on me and came up next to me, but I think I beat him across the line.
I'll take a look at it. As you can see, it was close. Poovey in the draft, coming up, trying to make the slingshot move, but Jones won the race by about a foot. Ted Booty gets the other transfer into the main event from heat race number 4. This Springfield Mile celebrating the 50th anniversary of a great race and also getting down close to the end of a long, hard season. I'm Dave Despain with Bubba Shobert, one of the great dirt tracks of all time.
We'll get back to the action in just a moment, but right now I'd like to confess that I'm never going to be a world-class racer. Still, occasionally, I do like to get out on the track or on the trail and enjoy the thrill of competition. My AMA card gives me the opportunity to do that, just as it gives you the opportunity to participate in more than 6,000 competition and road riding events every year. Now, when I'm out on the racetrack, my leathers and my helmet protect my body. When I'm off the track, this AMA card protects my right to ride. Oh, sure, I appreciate the monthly magazine, American Motorcyclist, that I receive as a member. I appreciate the Theft Protection Service, Trip Routing Service, accidental death and dismemberment coverage, and the opportunity to save a lot of money on my motorcycle insurance. But the things that concern me most are adverse legislation, bureaucrats meddling with motorcycling, and that tired old stereotype that those of us who ride are somehow second-class citizens. Well, you know what? The AMA is also my watchdog. From town hall to the halls of Congress, the AMA is working to improve the image of all of us who ride. For my money, an AMA card at 20 bucks is the best investment in motorcycling that you can make. How about getting a card of your own? Call 1-800-AMA-JOIN, toll-free, and join the American Motorcyclist Association. Now let's get back to the racing action. One of the morning rituals for the men behind the machines, the mechanics of Camel Pro Series Racing, is tech inspection. The National Tech Inspector for the American Motorcyclist Association is Bruce Bober. Bruce, you keep these guys in line every time we go to a national. They've all got to come to you first. What's your job anyway? What do you look for?
Okay, basically I check safety items on the bikes. We start with handlebar fork stops so nothing contacts the gas tank, fork drain so fluid doesn't spill onto the track, engine drain bolts, transmission drains, and this year was the all-new manifold plate.
Carburetor restrictors.
Right. Well, we can't say restrictors. The manifold plate.
Well, they may restrict what you can call this thing, Bruce, but the riders refer to this as their restrictor check. Tell me about this thing.
Yeah, this is a manifold plate. 33 millimeters is the inside diameter, and basically it controls the air-fuel mixture going through the manifold into the head. You know, it restricts it there.
It controls engine performance. It also increases engine reliability, which is the primary reason that it's been inserted. Your job is to make sure they're the right size, right?
The right size in there.
All right, we appreciate you taking time to give us this tour of tech inspection. Bruce Bober, the National Tech Inspector.
And with that, we'll move on into the semifinals with Bubba Schobert, the Camel Pro Series champion, providing our expert commentary here today. Formula changes a little bit. These are 10-lap races. The top 2 riders earn a spot in the national championship final. Jumping out front in this one was number 20Y. We heard from him earlier. The rookie Brian McDowell takes the lead out onto the backstretch. Here he's drafted and passed going into turn 3 by 31 Danny Ingram, who has switched this year from Harley to Honda. And way on the outside is 48 Donnie Howard. We're going to see a lot more of Donnie before this race is over. Again, to reiterate, no rookie has made a main event this year. Earlier when Brian Bonesteel was talking, Bubba, you were kind of laughing at when he said that it's tough for a rookie to make the show. What were you laughing about?
Well, I've been there, and I know exactly what he's thinking and how he's feeling. It's a tough road, and boy, you just couldn't give anything for this year to get by as fast as possible.
McDowell, obviously, he talked about guts when we interviewed him at the top of the show. Running into the corners hard here, but as we'll see over the next couple of laps, there's something wrong here, and I'm not sure what it is. Watch McDowell as they move down the straightaway. That's a fast motorcycle. It's obviously perhaps even a little faster than the other 2 bikes, but in the corners, it seems like he's just not able to get through very well. Now, I know that kid's not short on guts because I've seen you race against him. He's a courageous rider, but they're just whipping him something terrible in the corners. Can you tell what's going on?
Maybe his bike's just not set up just right, and he don't have the confidence to run it in the turns. He's going in a little slow, but he's getting some good drives out of the turns.
Well, we know the kid knows how to ride. He was junior national champion last year. Right here we see McDowell passed by Ingram as that battle continues. I think the fans really pull for the rookies, Bubba, but I'm wondering, how about you veterans? Do you hang out with these kids? Do you get to know them very well in that first year?
Not a whole lot. They seem to think that a lot of them got the opinion if they can't race with you, they can't hang out and talk with you. I admire a guy that's young and comes up and asks me questions.
Were you bashful when you were a rookie? Who was number 1 when you were a rookie?
I'm not sure. I think Jay Springsteen, and I was probably the same way, just shy, and felt like I didn't have the right to talk to him if I couldn't race with him.
Well, here's Ingram winning this one with Howard second. The rookie McDowell settled for third, so he'll have to ride the last chance qualifier if he's going to make the main event this afternoon. And still, no rookie has made a national final this year. We mentioned the history here, the 50th anniversary celebration. This is one of the historical moments. Look at that old Harley. That one goes back, if my memory serves, into the teens. Some of these old bikes run better than others. That's a BMW. They used to race BMW motorcycles on this racetrack, Springfield, Illinois. This is an historical motorcycle parade put together by the Illinois Motorcycle Dealers Association. You don't see this very often. A factory Harley rider, Chris Carr, on a BSA Gold Star. Walter Davidson probably spinning in his grave right now as we move on to the semifinal number 2. This one will also prove to be a real dogfight. We've got some familiar faces by now. You've seen most of these guys in their heat races. There's number 92, Ferris. He'll have a couple more near misses in this one. Number 8 is Eklund, the old veteran. The one guy that we really didn't see in the heat that we will see now is 22. That is Keith Day, who jumped out into the early lead. Tim Mertens out of Belleville, Illinois, is 53. And they're pretty well stacked up in this one all the way to the finish. You really got to feel some pressure that well, why am I asking you? You never ride the semifinals, Bubba. You always win the fastest heat. But the semis are tough because they're so competitive.
They are, and it's down to the guys who are making desperate moves, and you've got to be in the first or second place to get in that national, because getting to the national through the last chance, which you'll see later, is really tough.
When was the last time you rode a semifinal? Do you remember?
Probably last year on a half mile, I think, at Louisville.
So you do get back there and run with the regular guys once in a while, huh?
Oh yeah, I've been back there with them a lot, and it's no fun.
We tease Bubba a little bit about having it so easy now that he's the highly salaried factory rider who has somebody else doing all of his work for him, and he just basks in the glory. Here's Ferris again, all over the racetrack, but Eklund comes around the outside of him. King goes down the inside, 3 wide. How narrow is it when you're running that handlebar to handlebar line like that, Bub? Is it really as close as it looks?
Yes, it does. That wall comes up awful quick, and you don't look over at it because you know it's right there, and you just keep your eye on what's going on in front of you.
They say if you look at it, you'll run right into it. Is that true? Do you tend to ride into what you're looking at?
When they said that, I never looked at it to find out if that was true or not.
This is the last lap. Everybody talks about last lap strategy. Where do you want to be on the last lap in order to make the move? Watch the third place guy. That's Rich King out of Iowa. There is no doubt in his mind where he wants to be on the last lap. He wants to lead this race off the final corner. Eklund comes up and will actually get in front of him for just a moment, but King is having none of it. He knows he can win it from the front, so he comes right on around and leads the race down to the wire and takes the victory with Eklund second. Mertens, Day, and Ferris are bound for the last chance qualifier. Good move there by Rich King. Now let's talk about that Camel Challenge, the people who sponsor the Camel Pro Series with a $10,000 to win race. It's new this year, and we had a chance to talk to the Camel people about it. Curtis Gray is the Camel Pro Series team manager. Curtis, it must bring you a great deal of pleasure to bring this race to such a great racetrack.
You bet it is, Dave. The 50th anniversary to Springfield Mile, fastest mile in the country, top riders. Camel Challenge should be something else to see here.
Taking 6 riders, put them on the racetrack for 5 laps with 10 grand to win has produced some exciting competition this year.
We really didn't know how this thing was going to work out. 5 laps going for $10,000. We didn't really know how it was going to work, and it's just been incredible. All year long, the racing's been so tight. These guys, that's all they talk about pre-race, and I was getting to the Camel Challenge to begin with, being one of the top 6 qualifiers, and then actually going out and competing into it. It's just unbelievable.
Without further ado, let's get to it. Let's see who's made the Camel Challenge. Here are the top 6 qualifiers, led by my friend Schobert here with a 35.314. Scott Parker, who has a reputation for his wild broad slides, is not in the show, and here's why. How about that move in time trials, Bubba? Did he almost crash or what?
Yeah, it looks like he just got in a little bit high off the groove, and the track's probably a little drier than it was in practice, and it just about got him.
Scott Parker is a guy who will go out and find the edge. At that point, I got to think he was about as close to the edge as you can get.
You don't like to do that, especially in time trials. You just can't afford to.
But look here, Scott Parker and Danny Ingram both got into the Camel Challenge because of the scratches by Moorhead and Jorgensen. So they will get to run for the 10 grand to win. Terry Poovey has a special reason to want to win this race.
I need to win that thing. I need to get my little girl a swing set real bad.
Thing wire to wire. And Bubba Schobert, who's been the fastest man all day, was not about to give away any of his secret strategies.
I'd rather just wait and see. Let's just wait and see what happens. And if it works, that's what I planned. If it didn't work, we'll decide an excuse later.
All right, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. He rarely needs an excuse. Number 1 is the pole sitter. Let's give them all a send-off. The Camel Challenge field ready to go for $10,000 to win. When they lined this one up, Bubba, I think everybody in the place thought you were the man to beat, and as it turned out, you didn't have a snowball's chance on a hot day in July of winning this thing. We're going to find out why, but let's watch the first little bit of the action here as it gets underway. Off the line they come. Parker, number 11, gets a good start. Remember, he wasn't even supposed to be in the race, but it's Chris Carr, number 20, who jumps out into the lead. Terry Poovey coming around the outside, looking for the swing set for his little girl, moves into second spot. And that effectively was that. Those 2 guys went off and had their own battle. Schobert's with them for a while, but you couldn't keep up with them. What was the problem? What on earth did you guys do to that motorcycle?
Well, I think the track got faster, and with the combination I had in the heat race, my bike I couldn't make it go any faster. I wasn't comfortable running it in the corners no harder than I had been, and that's just basically it, just not the right setup.
That's real hard for the rest of us to understand. Those of us who don't go race at 130 miles an hour, it's hard to imagine. What was it doing? I mean, does it feel like it's going to fall down, or what didn't feel comfortable?
Well, basically, I think my gear was off a little bit, and I was under-geared, and I just couldn't go as fast as I wanted to. And when you try to push something further than its capability, then you start getting squirrely and having mistakes.
While you were back there struggling a little bit, these guys had a tremendous battle. Poovey and Carr just went at it the whole race with 10,000 to win. Obviously, you've got a lot of motivation. You've fallen back to fourth at this point. Did you guys change your motorcycle after you won that heat race, or did the track change that much?
The track changed on us. We went into the challenge race with the same setup we had in the heat race.
Didn't change anything at all?
Nothing at all.
At this point, then, you must have been kind of worried because you know you're not going to win this race, and you know you've got the main event to come. What were you thinking about here as Poovey and Carr went off and had their own race?
I couldn't really pinpoint the problem I was having. I knew I was having some difficulty, and I sure couldn't run the pace that they were running, and I was going to have to make some changes. So I was just thinking of everything I could do later on to improve.
That's really, to me, that's fascinating because obviously you did your homework very well. Here is Scott Parker. I guess Parker was third all day, wasn't he? He was third in the heat. We see him here, third in the challenge. There's Schobert racing for fourth, which doesn't happen very often. And here is the white flag, one to go. Who's going to win it? Will it be Chris Carr or Terry Poovey? At this point, Carr has just finished the fastest lap in Springfield history, and I think he had him covered, didn't he?
It looks like it on the tape here. I wasn't watching that close when I was out there racing.
Well, as we watch this last lap unfold, watch how close they get here. Almost touch going into three. Carr wanted to lead it off that corner, I think, but knew he had enough stuff to draft around Poovey. And we'll see how they come down to the wire here. Again, Parker hanging on for third where he was most of the afternoon. Steve Faraci has the checkered flag. Carr comes out of the draft and wins it by perhaps a wheel width at the wire over Poovey, and that's a victory worth $10,000. But it was not a picture-perfect victory. There was one flaw in this ride, and here it comes. Chris Carr comes by, picks up the checkered flag, pops a little victory wheelie for the fans, and promptly drops the checkered flag. Did you ever do that?
No, I haven't. I've been lucky, I guess. I don't do wheelies, and I hang on to checkered flags.
One of life's little embarrassing moments. We understand that we figured out what happened here. We have a replay that shows that Chris Carr ran through some kind of a force field down there in turn number one. It knocked our camera out of focus and knocked the flag right out of his hand. Here's what he had to say about his strategy.
Well, I thought I could win it either way, leading coming off of turn 4 or coming off the corner second. I didn't have a chance to pass Terry going down the front chute until the last lap, but once he went by me going into 3, we almost collided, in fact, going in the corner. And I just decided to hang on his rear wheel and get the best draft I could, and it worked out for the better.
And it worked out to the tune of $10,000 for Chris Carr. Now, last chance qualifier. Watch the front row. Second man in from the outside pole. That is Brian McDowell, the rookie. Not a great start, but not a real bad start until right there when he missed third gear and went all the way to the back of the pack. McDowell struggling, trying to get into the main event, but there's another rookie to watch. He's the last man on the right side of your screen here. His name is Teddy Taylor. He comes from Arbuckle, California. His number is 28Y. Keep an eye on him. This guy is what, about 4 feet 6 inches tall, I think, isn't he, Bubba?
He's definitely the smallest guy out there.
Smaller even than Jim Felice, and that's saying something. He looks up to Jimbo. Look at this kid fly. He weighs about 100 pounds. He's on a very fast Honda. He has come from outside row 2 to second spot at this point. Now watch him ride around the outside of Billy Herndon. This thing handles well. It's running well. He looks like he ought to win this race easily.
He's out there, and he's got a good line. He's really smooth. Looks like he's going to run away with it from here.
How much of a factor is the weight? I mean, is 20 or 30 pounds a big factor in weight? He obviously weighs less than anybody else.
Well, if we go back and look at the heat races, it seems like all the little guys are winning here. Horsepower is a big thing here at Springfield. 5 pounds is 1 horsepower. Looks like it's, you can sure tell it here.
Of course, the rumor mill says that we're going to find out a little bit about how much weight means next year on your Honda, but I don't think that. I think that's a story that has to wait for another day. Right now, the story is Teddy Taylor. He opened up a huge lead and looked like he was absolutely gone, and watch what happened. They ran him down. Here comes number 22, Keith Day, from behind, just drives around the outside. Herndon is there. Ferris is there. There is an army just waiting to eat Teddy Taylor alive, and that is exactly what they did. What was going to be a runaway heat race, or last chance victory, we should say, and the first rookie to ever get into the main event, instead turns into another middle-of-the-pack finish, and I know it's a big disappointment for this kid as they turn for the checkered flag. A happy moment for Keith Day, number 22, out of Salinas, California, comes down to win the race. A lot of scrambling for position, but in this one, only the winner moves up. Keith Day gets the 17th spot in the national final. Let's find out more about that rookie situation.
Back here, it's all heat and sweat and grit and dirt. The back row of the pits at the Camel Pro Series races, the life of the rookie. And today, the rookies got about this close and both came up short. Brian McDowell looked all day like you had a shot at it. What happened to you at the end?
I felt good all day, Dave. That last chance qualifier sitting right next to the pole there, I thought I had a real good chance of winning it. I went out there with plans on winning that last chance, and they popped out of third gear going into turn one, and I went from about third to last.
Earlier in the afternoon, both in the heat race and in the semifinal, you looked like there was good opportunity there for you to win because you were able to come through traffic. You could come from deep in the pack and get close to the lead, get to the lead. Were you feeling like maybe this was going to be the day a rookie finally made the national?
Today I felt was my day. I felt I had a good a chance as any today. I came real close in the semi and the heat race, like you said. Today was my day, and I just misfortune of something happening.
For Teddy Taylor of Arbuckle, California, it looked like the first rookie main event appearance of the year was in the bag. He had that last chance qualifier covered until, well, I don't know, what happened?
I rookied out.
You rookied out. Is that really what it was? You just got too overconfident or what?
No, I saw Chris Carr was making the fast times of the day, and he was going up high, so I said, well, it's got to be wide open up high. So I went wide open up high and got out in front and said, where'd everybody go? And led it for, 6-8 laps, and then I thought, well, God, they got to be running over me, and just about that time they did.
It must be frustrating to get that close and have it slip away from you.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't believe it because I kind of looked back, and I saw them back there, and I said, okay, don't look back again, gas it, and next thing I knew, they were passing me.
Teddy Taylor and Brian McDowell paying their dues. No rookie has yet made a national championship final this year, but these guys are going to win some races before they're done.
This guy will win one of the greatest Springfield miles in history, and we're going to come back and find out how he did it right after we take this time out. More with Bubba Schobert in just a moment.
So what kind of motorcycle do you ride? Big road machine, a full-on racer, woods or trail bike? You know, it really doesn't make any difference because this wide world of motorcycling includes such a tremendous variety of fun and excitement. I'd like to take a moment now to explore some of the other two-wheeled adventures that are waiting for you on our full line of motorcycle videos.
We begin with a trip to England for the thrill of international road racing. The 1987 Transatlantic Challenge was billed as the U.S. versus Great Britain match races, but it became an incredible on-track shoving match. Number 6 Wayne Rainey, number 34 Kevin Schwans, American teammates, but bitter rivals. Canadian Gary Goodfellow added his own bit of excitement to the 9-race series, and despite misfortune like this, the Americans scored a runaway victory. But Daytona 200 winner Rainey and hard-charging Texan Schwan stole the show and provided some of the most amazing road racing action ever captured on video. American champ Bubba Schobert comments on his teammates' work as he joins me as expert analyst.
For pavement excitement of a different sort, join us for an hour-long trip to the premier motorcycle touring event in America. The Americade includes 2 great gatherings of touring enthusiasts at Lake George, New York and Estes Park, Colorado. This is the first professionally produced video of a motorcycle touring event ever, and you'll join the thousands of enthusiasts who make this the largest motorcycle rally in the world. For something different in motorcycle videos, take a tour of Americade 1987. Now, you should know that my face appears on every one of those tapes. Doesn't make them a bit prettier, but it does mean that they all carry my personal guarantee. If there's anything wrong with your cassette, or if you just don't like the show, you send it back. I'll replace it, I'll give you any other title in our video line, or I'll send your money back, no questions asked. I appreciate your business. I want you to be satisfied. Now, here's how to order. Each of our tapes is priced at $29.95 plus $3 shipping and handling. Send your check or money order to AMA Videos, P.O. Box 6114, Westerville, Ohio, 43081. Specify transatlantic, toughest race I ever won, or 50th anniversary Springfield Mile. For fastest service and credit card orders, call 614-891-2425, extension 272. All right, we go back to Springfield now. It's main event time, and what is this? Scott Parker, bitter rival of Bubba Schobert, over there getting help from Skip and Ray, the Honda factory mechanics. Is there some skullduggery afoot here? What is Parker up to anyway as he sets his sights on Schobert and then gives him a blind shot right there on the front straightaway? I want to see that again. Parker sets you up, got you looking at that pretty girl up there in the grandstand, and boom, got you. You guys don't seem to be real serious about what you're doing out there.
Well, he just caught me off guard. It's okay as long as he catches me off guard walking up to the lines, as long as it doesn't happen on the racetrack.
Well, there was time to laugh pre-race, but once this thing got underway, I'll tell you what, it was very serious business. Springfield Mile, 50th anniversary, blast off into turn number 1. 25 laps is the distance, and number 1, Bubba Schobert, jumps out into the lead in what will truly be remembered as one of the classic dirt track motorcycle races of all time. Bubba, on the first lap, you went right to the lead, but you guys had really shaken up the setup on that motorcycle. Did you know you had it right off the bat?
Well, I picked my starting position. I had first pick, and I picked down in the middle of the racetrack. Usually you pick either one or the other, the outside or the inside. It worked. I got a good start and almost broke the draft on the first lap.
When you talk about breaking the draft, obviously, as we've seen a couple of times here today, Hank Scott did it, Terry Poovey did it. If you can get away from the traffic, you can go off and run your own race. But it was Chris Carr, who had already run the fastest lap ever at Springfield, who came up and managed to catch your draft, and you guys had a pretty good two-rider race early on. But right here, you must have felt pretty confident. You must have known that you guys got things dialed in well.
The bike was working a lot better, and I knew we had made the right decisions, and I knew it was going to be a good race.
It was more than a good race. This became a great race, but for about the first 8 or 9 laps, it was Schobert and Carr pretty much out front and all alone. And you've said over and over again, Bubba, that it's hard to lead these things. But at the same time, you also say that you'd love to be able to break the draft and go off and run away. It's kind of a two-edged sword, isn't it?
Right. You get out in the lead, and you begin to think about tire wear, and a lot of other things go through your mind, and you're trying to be smooth, and you're just not going as fast as you're capable of going.
Do you know what lap times you want to run, or is that even relevant? I know in road racing it matters, but in a dirt track race like this, do you try to set a pace, or do you just race the guys that are out there with you?
Usually just race the guys that are out there with you, or just go as fast as you can and what you feel comfortable doing, and what you think how your tire will last at going those speeds.
What about the tire wear? Graham told me that the only chance he had, here we see Carr coming up to challenge you for the lead. Graham said the only chance he had was that you would wear out your tires or something, that he was just going to have to hang back and wait for about 5 laps to go and then make a run at you and hope that he had something. But what about the tire wear? Were you worried about it? Are you concerned that you're going to wear out your tire here?
No, after the heat race, the tire looked good, and didn't think we'd have any kind of tire problem. The track was too moist and wet to really worry about it.
Carr comes up, takes the lead, good racer, fast motorcycle. Did you feel like he was one of the guys you were going to have to race with, or what were you thinking right here?
Oh, I knew he definitely would be. His lap times in that challenge race were really good, faster than the times I'd done previous in the day, so I knew he was going to be a big factor.
And this, of course, is what the fans come to see. It's Honda versus Harley-Davidson. Bubba, national champion on the Honda. It's no secret that the Harley fans outnumber the Honda fans at the racetrack, and sometimes they let you know that, Bubba. They cheer when you make little bobbles like that one right there. Does that bother you at all to know that those guys are rooting for the other guy?
Not really. It kind of gets me pumped in a way. I like to see controversy, and that's exactly what's happening here.
And of course, it's good for the gate. I mean, it gives people something else to cheer for when they come out and see these races, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. They like they're Harley fans and there's Honda fans, and they go there and see who goes home the winner.
And on this day, Bubba's going to go home the winner, but not without a struggle. Chris Carr continues to be. Here we see Doug Chandler coming up the inside. They're starting to close in on you now. This is not a two-man race anymore. It's about to become a seven-man race, but you probably don't really know that at this point, do you? How much are you able to keep track on what's going on behind you?
Well, I never really looked back in this race. I thought that since Chris caught up to me, I thought we could work together and we could probably pull away from the rest of them by using each other's draft.
Well, I'm sure Carr would love a deal like that. Is that something that you try to negotiate with hand signals down the back stretch, or do you just try to use his draft when it's advantageous to you? And I mean, how would you actually make that work?
You basically just don't try to block the draft on the straightaways or nothing. When you come out of the turns, just hold a steady line, and then hopefully they'll do the same.
And of course, in this case, what's happening is that all those guys behind you are playing the same game, and they're beginning to reel you in. Great Carr pass on the outside right there. Would you have taken that same chance, or was it really a big chance?
Really wasn't a big chance. He got into the corner. We went into the corner side by side. He kind of had the line that he wanted, and I kind of got stuck down low.
Here come the gang. Number 10, Doug Chandler. Number 3, Ricky Graham, way down on the bottom of the racetrack. And they're going to be the first two to attack the duo up front. That's Schobert leading down the backstretch. I believe this is the lap where Chandler will actually come up and take the lead. Bub, does that moment stand out in your memory of this race? You've been racing with Carr, and then all of a sudden there's somebody new up there. Do those moments stand out in your mind?
It's happened to me a lot of times in mile racing. All of a sudden you think it's just you and another guy, and a new face passes you, and it's just another problem to worry about.
Well, obviously your problems are going to begin to get more and more complicated. Here comes Hank Scott up the inside, sticks a wheel in there. The mob have arrived on the scene, and what was a two-man race has become a dogfight. And I got to tell you, it's a treat to get to sit here and look at the highlights with the winner of the race. The football coaches, I guess, on the coaches shows get to do that all the time. They look at the game films and talk about what went on. We don't get to do that with the winner of the motorcycle races very often. From your standpoint, does the race look different watching it on video than the way you remember it in your mind?
It looks a lot easier. I can relax and breathe while I'm sitting here and talk about it. I don't think I ever took a breath the whole time I was out there.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, it was breathtaking for the rest of us to watch, Bub, as the 7 fastest racers on this afternoon, and indeed 7 of the best ever to play this game, went out and put on a show at Springfield. 50th anniversary of the race, and there was a lot of history on display here today. We had the opportunity to spend some time with this guy, Bernie Bowman. He rode at the very first Springfield mile, but Bernie wasn't a racer. I asked him about the exhibition stunt that he did here 50 years ago. How do you see where you're going when you're standing on your head facing backwards on the motorcycle? How do you keep from running into something?
Well, the only thing you can watch is the fence. In 1936, I started at the second pole light down here, standing on my head, and I knew there was an elephant ring in the middle. So I kept drifting to the right, and this one night, the 4th night, I got over a little too far. And I saw the ring going this way instead of this way. So I kept down, and just my feet hit the back fender. I jerked it like that, and the front wheel skidded, and then, of course, it hit the fence, and I got tore up a little bit, you know.
I'm real proud to get the opportunity to talk to you here at the Springfield Mile, and I certainly hope you enjoy the races today.
Well, they got a beautiful track today, and if I was in shape, I'd love to ride it.
Hey, listen, you look like you're in pretty good shape to me. You enjoy the show, will you?
Thank you.
Bernie Bowman, ladies and gentlemen, carrying on the great tradition of motorcycle stuntmen. What do you think, Bubba? Do you ever have any desire to ride your motorcycle standing on your head, facing backwards on the seat?
Well, I've ended up in that position a couple of times, and it's no fun.
Well, I'll tell you, Bubba, riding these kind of motorcycles at this kind of speeds is one of the greatest stunts I've ever seen, and especially in this kind of traffic. At this point, we need to point out the guy who just rode into your screen right back there at the back, number 11, Scotty Parker. We're just starting to get a few glimpses of Parker. There are 6 men in this lead draft, but Scotty is coming after you. And the other thing that's about to change right now is that Chandler will drop out of the race. We mentioned before, he has stood at the edge of greatness so many times. Chandler has a problem. He drops off the pace. Graham will take the lead for the first time. Ricky has decided, I think, that it's time to gas it up. And at this point, you're all the way back in 5th. Are you experimenting a little bit here? Whoop, more dropouts. That was Hames falling out. Estep is also out of it. I think this may be where you guys go 4 wide. Yeah, that's a real nice shot down into the corner as you go from 5th to 1st. The experimentation is beginning, isn't it?
Yeah, the race is winding down. It's time to get in a position to start making your move and testing who you think is going to be there at the finish.
Are you testing yourself against individual guys? Are you trying to figure out who you can draft, or what are you really trying to figure out? Is it places on the racetrack, or it seems like there must be a lot of different things you got to sort out?
It's basically, you know where you don't want to be come the last lap, and you try to stay out of that position. Here, I'm just thinking I've got to be in one of the top 3 positions to be able to make a move on the last lap.
You're figuring that if you're third, you've got enough draft and enough horsepower to get to the lead coming out of 4?
Right, but if I know that if I'm in 4th, it's going to be a lot tougher because I'm going to have one more guy to deal with.
Look at old Hank Scott, 33 years young, comes up the inside, says, Bubba, look out. This is my last time to ride Springfield. I'm going to give her a go. And you about ran into the back of him there, didn't you?
That's what I was talking about earlier. You don't want to be in 4th place, and that's where I was.
Hank is going to end up 4th in this race, and will tell us why a little later. But this is really the old guy's moment in the sun. I'm so proud of him to see him get out there and run that hard, because there's a difference between you at 25 and him at 33. 8 years makes a lot of difference, doesn't it?
I hope I can keep getting better, and as long as I'm still racing.
He, of course, has improved with age over the years, and Hank's like a bottle of fine wine. This might have been his finest hour right here, because he definitely had all the kids behind him. And right there, looked for a moment like he might have enough stuff to break the draft, but there was nobody that strong on this day. People are going to look back at this race and how strong you were, and they're going to say, he could have broken away and ran away with this anytime he wanted to. He was just playing with them, and you're going to deny it, aren't you?
Yeah, Dave, it was a good, fast, exciting race, but if I could have got away from the guys early in the race, I would have.
Well, with 5 laps to go, here comes Scott Parker. Watch number 11. He has caught the pack from well behind. He's riding the wheels off the thing. As he caught up to you guys, he had one big advantage, Bubba, and that was that big draft. I mean, you just really sucked him right into the middle of it, didn't you?
Yeah, it's easy to catch the pack, but to do anything with it once you catch up to it, that's what we're going to wait and see now.
Well, Parker was definitely, as we said, out on the razor edge of control. We saw him earlier in that time trial incident. We know how brave the guy is. He will run it into the corner. He is on the tail end of the pack, number 11. He's going to make a couple of pretty spectacular moves, so kind of keep an eye on him from here. But as you say, this is going to be a tough pack to pass. This race is winding short. I've got a question I want to ask you before we run out of time here today. How much are you motivated by all the records that you're setting? Do you keep track of your national wins? Do you know how many more you need to be the all-time big gun in this kind of racing?
Not really. I don't think I'll really ever take a look at it until I'm about ready to hang it up, and then I'll start looking at the records I've got and what I would have to do to break more records.
What does motivate you if it's not the record book?
That's just winning, and I like to win, and that's basically it. I'm out there to carry that #1 plate. That's been a lifetime goal.
You've been carrying it a long time. If you win that one again next year, you're going to tie the all-time record for consecutive championships, the record set by Carol Ressweber. There goes Schobert into the lead. Here comes Parker, number 11, down on the bottom. And in between, we've got Ricky Graham, Hank Scott, Chris Carr, and Terry Poovey. And it shapes up as perhaps the most exciting last couple of laps in Springfield history. I want to ask you about something else before we're finished here. After your last victory at DuQuoin, I mean, you missed all this because you were over sucking on the champagne bottle, but Carr was mad at Graham, Parker was mad at both of them, everybody had been bumping and banging, and there was some hostility after that race was over. When you're running in a pack like this, how often do you get upset because somebody like Graham comes up here and chops right in front of you like that, gets in your way?
Well, sometimes I guess you feel that it's deliberate, and that's what Scotty and Chris thought at DuQuoin. A couple of situations in this race, it looks like Graham's done the same thing to me.
They're coming down to take the white flag. This is going to be Parker's big moment because he's going to make a spectacular backstretch move here. One last question. When the race is all over, how long does it take the tempers to settle down? You're all friends by the next week, it seems.
Oh, yeah. We usually play a couple of games of golf during the week to settle things.
We're going to settle things at Springfield right now. Last lap, last straightaway. Watch Parker, number 11. Goes to the outside, runs her in deep. He's around Carr. He comes alongside Hank Scott. Hank bobbles just a little bit. That sets up the run to the finish. Graham trying to draft on Bubba Schobert as they turn for the wire. Down they come. Checkered flag. Nobody's got the stuff to get around. Bubba knows he's got it won. Graham comes home second. Parker finishes third. Bubba, your thing's showing a little smoke there after the checker. She's tired.
Oh yeah, tighter than I am. We both took a big breath after that checkered flag.
When did you know you had it won?
I never really knew for sure, but leading it into turn 3, I knew I had a good chance. I didn't think they could get me coming across the finish line, but Parker coming around the outside really surprised me.
Well, here comes Chris Carr around the outside to congratulate Bubba Schobert, and Hank Scott comes by too, finishing up his last Springfield. Here's what he told me about it.
I've never raced a mile this hard in my life. I won 12 of them, and I ain't never raced this hard. Matter of fact, I ain't never raced hard in my whole career as I did today. My tongue was hanging out when that checkered flag came out, believe me.
Hank says he's too old for this. He's going to retire and tune for Steve Moorhead, who's only 32 years old. Let's hear from the top 3 guys on the box, beginning with the 3rd place finisher today, Scotty Parker.
Like I say, you got 6 guys moving around, and it seems like they're always in the place that you want to be. So it's one of them things that you got to sort of wait your turn to get there. About the 17th lap or maybe the 15th lap, I goes, man, I'm catching them. Time to run her in just a little deeper, you know. I says, this Harley can do it, you know, and went out there and run it in and kept going. Then I caught up with the pack, and like I say, them guys was just going everywhere. There's 6 guys running there, and finally I weaseled my way through the pack and ended up running 3rd. So let's hear it for Harley Davidson. Woo, woo, woo,
Parker sounds like a cowboy, Bubba. Sounds like he's from down in your neck of the woods. Ricky Graham settled for 2nd this afternoon and said the key was using your head all day.
No, well, you just got to try to ride safe. You know, there's 6, 7 guys out there in a pack, and it's so easy just to make a little bobble, and a little bobble can cause you and other riders to get really hurt out there. And so you just got to concentrate on trying to keep it as smooth as you can. And boy, it was just a good group of riders out there today, because it was just like I said, it was the hardest race I've ever run. Running that close, well, I don't think I breathed the whole race.
To a man, they call it the toughest race they've ever run. Bubba Schobert from another angle coming down to win it. After floundering in the Camel Challenge, he did a major turnaround here today.
After that challenge race, I was going as fast as I could in the challenge race with my setup. Me and my mechanic, we put our heads together, Skip and Ray, and we come up with a winning combination. And that's what's gotten us the championships. It's not just been me. It's not just been Skip. We worked together, and, well, I got to thank them guys, and we just had the right combination today. I'd like to thank everybody. Couldn't have done it without the great fans.
Well, he's ready for the champagne. I'm going to get out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. Bubba Schobert has won the Springfield Mile.
Now, I'll tell you something else that I think contributes to the greatness of Bubba Schobert. I think he comes from good stock. Let's hear from his dad on the heels of the victory.
I just recently told him I thought he was the greatest. I always told him, well, kid him around, well, I could ride a stick horse that fast or something, and I just recently, just here the other day on the phone with a phone conversation, I said, well, I'm going to have to tell you this. And I told him, and it really, really felt great to tell him, and I meant it. And, not just because he's mine, because I've seen a lot of great racers, but he's fantastic.
I think Bubba's daddy pretty well sums it up here at Springfield on this 50th anniversary of this great racetrack. We talked about history at the top of the show. They're going to remember this as one of the greatest races in the 5 decades that we've been coming here, and I don't believe there's ever been a greater miler than Bubba Schobert. The results: Schobert, Graham, Parker, Scott, Carr, and Poovey. Jones, Day, Pearson, Booty, Ingram, and King make up the second 6. And behind them, most everybody had problems of one sort or another, and they'll all have to wait for another day for their sip of champagne here at Springfield.
Well, that was a couple of hours ago, Victory Lane at Springfield. Since then, Bubba Schobert has been interviewed to death, and now finally it's quiet here at Springfield. You get a chance to relax a little bit and think back on this mile race, and I guess all in all, it's been a pretty good day for you, huh?
Yeah, it's nothing greater than when it's finally all over, and you can watch it and see what you done wrong and what you could do better next time.
Did you enjoy your role as expert commentator here today?
Yeah, it did, Dave. I'm gonna try for your job next year and let you have mine.
I guarantee you, I can't do this guy's job. Nobody does it as well as Bubba Schobert. He is the winner of the 50th anniversary Springfield Mile.